This video describes both the conservation overthrow and inset mounts. It then addresses a number of methods of hinging artwork, including the T-hinge, V and Z hinges, and finally the pass-through hinge, used both in float and shadow float mounting. All boards used comply with Fine Art Trade Guild's mount board standards at either conservation or cotton museum level. Guild members can download these standards free of charge. Tapes used are cotton museum gum tape. Alternatively, Japanese papers and starch paste may be used for hinging. The conservation overthrow mount comprises the window mount, undermount, and either cotton or linen gum tape. The procedure is the same for both portrait and landscape formats. The window mount and undermount are placed side by side along the longest edge, with a small gap between both mounts. The tape is moistened and placed centrally along the gap between the boards. Using an artist's bone, the tape is burnished to ensure adhesion, following which the point of the artist's bone is run down the gap, creating a small indentation, which allows for the easy folding of the completed mount. The conservation inset mount is used when the artwork is on thick board. The mount package comprises a window mount, a middle board which is the same thickness as the object and with an aperture cut slightly larger than the artwork, and finally an undermount. The purpose of the middle board is to compensate for the thickness of the artwork and to allow the window mount to sit flush. The middle board is attached to the undermount using the same procedure as in the overthrow mount, and the window mount is then attached to the middle board using the same method. When attaching the window mount, it is advisable to use an extra layer of board placed under the window mount to compensate for the difference in thickness. Finally, the artwork is attached to the undermount using T-hinges. Turning to hinging. Before discussing the different hinges, there are a number of key points that one should be aware. Let's first consider shear and peel. As far as hinging is concerned, I consider shear as forces in tension. That is, opposing forces attempting to pull a hinge apart. A hinge in shear is considered a strong hinge, whereas a hinge in peel is considered weak, as forces are pulling the hinge apart, similar to that of peeling a banana. This slide shows the position and number of hinges for different weights and sizes of artwork. One should note that the hinges are not placed at the corners, as this will cause stress concentrations, resulting in cockling. Finally, this slide shows an additional number of key points that are taken directly from the Guild's Tapes and Adhesives document. Members can download this document free of charge from the Guild's website. Let's now consider the different hinges. First, the T-hinge. This is the most commonly used hinge in picture framing and is sometimes known as the pendant hinge. It comprises two strips of cotton gum tape. One smaller strip or tab is attached, normally by no more than 5 mm, to the verso of the artwork, and a larger strip as a cross member, securing the tab to the undermount. There should be a small gap between the cross member and the artwork to allow for any expansion and contraction of the artwork, thereby minimizing the possibility of cockling. Please note, there is no tape on the recto of the artwork. The T-hinge is also effective when hinging prints with irregular edges. The V and Z hinges are considered weak as they are in peel. They can be strengthened by placing a cross member across the hinge itself. Used mainly when float mounting, but care should be taken as the hinge can indent and show through artwork, especially if the artwork is on thin or lightweight paper and/or photographic papers. The pass-through hinge is basically an extension of the V-hinge, although differences in its construction provides for a strong hinge. Used mainly in either float or shadow float mounting, whereby the hinge passes through the slits made in the undermount and then securely taped on the verso. The procedure is as follows. Cut strips of gum tape approximately 6 cm long. Fold the strips into two, gum side facing each other, and then crease using an artist's bone. Cut strips through the mount board, slightly larger than the width of the folded tape. Pass the folded tape through the cut strips. Fold the tape over the verso of the board and secure using a strip of tape. Open the two tabs on the recto of the board, moisten these tabs and place the artwork into the correct position and apply weights. When float mounting, the artwork is secured directly onto the undermount, whereas shadow float mounting employs the use of either 3 or 5 mm foam board. The procedure is the same for shadow float mounting, but the slits are cut in the foam board, which the tape passes through and is then secured on the verso before the foam board is adhered to the undermount. Finally, 2 points to remember. First, when conservation framing, it is the framer's role to protect and preserve artwork. And second, any mounting should not interfere with the original condition of the artwork. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and found it both useful and, more importantly, educational. The views and descriptions in the video are mine, and I am aware that there may be other ways of achieving a similar or a same conclusions. Thank you very much.